What's up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 501 of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast, Hot Tags of the Week. We'll be breaking down some of the current events and rumors and news and gossip and scuttlebutt and hearsay and speculation and reports and anything else that's happened in the world of pro wrestling over the past few days we feel like talking about. I am your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, is Robert DeFelice.
All right, I think we should rebrand. I think you should just be Mango, and I just be Rob.
Yeah, because you can't have like a first and a last name. You just can't, right?
No.
So, like, I mean, Smark Out Moment, that's even got a middle name. Like, that should just be Moment, right?
There it is, moment.com. Coming soon.
You see, does somebody on that? I'm pretty sure somebody's bought moment.com. If it isn't the case, I'm going to buy that right on the air right now. Literally. Let's see. Check domain. When we load this, moment.com.
There's no way.
It said, waiting for a moment to check to see. Your desired domain is unfortunately taken.
Okay,
man. Well, I'm not spending however much money it needs to be for that, because I'm sure it's thousands and thousands of dollars. But I own smarkoutmoment.com because we are Smark Out Moment. I own smarkout.com if I got rid of the moment. You know what I mean? If you type smarkout.com, it goes to Smark Out Moment. So, yeah. We're talking about names. We're going to talk about a D.U.I. We're going to talk about a list. We're going to talk about a name that's changed and somebody moved over to a roster. We're going to talk about names on a tournament. We're going to talk about an injury. We're going to run down Great American Bash. We're going to run down Road Rager. We're going to run down your old grandpa. I don't know. Just, you know.
Grandpa got run over by a mango.
There you go. Yeah, and of course, as always, we want to know what you guys have to say about all these topics. So drop a comment below, tell us what you think. And the best place to do that is on YouTube. While you're over there on YouTube, hit the like button, because that not only shows us that you like it, but it also boosts us on the SEO. And hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that already. Ring the little notification bell as well. Hit the share button if you want to pass this along. There's the applause button if you want to give us a tip, like the tip jar kind of thing. And there's the join button.
Yeah, just tip your waitress, yeah.
My one grandpa used to have different jokes that he would have when it comes to tips. And one of my favorite ones was, which I don't subscribe to, and it was a joke, remember everybody.
Oh,
but
God.
He used to say, here's a tip, stay single.
Yeah. Well, let me be clear, I don't subscribe to that one either.
Right.
You know, but
he didn't
yeah.
either. It was a joke, but you know, the whole like, here's a tip, wear a hat. It's sunny out, or like that kind of thing. But hey, that's where I got some of those lame ass jokes from.
It's in the blood.
If you want to join us on the members only side of things here, that's another thing that you should be doing while you're over there on YouTube. That's what the join button is all about. This is the same thing as the Patreon, patreon.com/smarkoutmoment. Either way, you're getting access to the Darkcast if you're a part of the Darkcast tier. There's a Pick Your Poison tier. You can request something that you want us to do. And I've done enough plugs for now. We'll talk back plugs later on. But let's get into a list. Let's do that first, because this one's
Is
one
it
of
the
the...
list of Jericho?
Not quite. It's not the list of KO either.
Jericho is on my list.
Jericho is on this list. Only once, it seems, right? Or is he on there more than once? I think it's only once. Yeah. From what I can see. I don't see Kevin Owens on the list, though. This is a list of WWE's greatest tag teams that they had done recently. We figured, let's talk about it, because that ended this week or so, and we never got a chance to talk about it. I haven't had a chance to even check out the first edition, because it's multiple episodes, right?
So it is multiple episodes. It's about 5 episodes, I think. But I really want to check it all out. Maybe I will this weekend. You know, got some time off, so maybe I'll check that out. I do enjoy tag teams. I do enjoy tag team wrestling. Let's get into this.
Yeah, I might check it out for like, if I have the time for background. I was going to say background furniture. That's not how that works. Background noise.
So you want that Money Inc. ottoman?
If they sold one of those, I'd want it. Yeah. Money Inc.'s great, you know? Probably wouldn't have the money for it, though. If you want to save some money. No, I'm not going to give you that
Everybody's got a price.
So number 50, we're not going to run this down all 100%, but I'm just going to very, very quickly run these down because I'll save you the effort of watching the thing too. Number 50 was the Bushwhackers. 49, Too Cool. 48, the Quebecers. 47, Smoking Guns. 46, Strike Force. 45, the Head Shrinkers. 44, Kane and X-Pac. I'm surprised about that. I haven't read this list yet, so I'm doing this on a whim. 43 was Batista and Ric Flair. Really?
That's weird.
Okay.
That's a weird one.
Then there's Eminem, Nasty Boys, Rated RKO, London and Kendrick, D.I.Y.
Right, so Eminem and London and Kendrick should be a little higher. And I think the Quebecers being above the Bushwhackers is weird because nobody talks about the Quebecers. But I guess the Bushwhackers never became champions. How do you rank these things is kind of the thing we need to get into. Or
like I would say that like London and Kendrick should not be higher. I think that they should be lower than, for instance, the Smoking Guns.
Well, of course you would, because the Smoking Guns, like, if it was up to you, the Smoking Guns by the Donnas and the Godwins would be like closer to the 20s.
Why not? There's D.I.Y. There's the World's Greatest Tag Team. There's Money Inc. Jericho and Big Show. Jericho is a lot higher up on this than I thought that they would be too.
Yeah, they should be a little bit lower on the list. Money Inc. is a surprising one to be up this high, but that's cool.
Natural Disasters. We got Street Profits already at 33. We got Jack and Gerald Briscoe, the Bludgeon Brothers.
Because so far we're at a good list, and I can justify certain things like Money Inc. being high because it's a WWE list. But when you add Jack and Jerry Briscoe, it's like, all right, you threw that one in there for the historical clout, but maybe it could have been left off.
Well, skipping ahead, when we get to the top 20, it kind of makes sense in a lot of ways. Even the top 25, like we're pretty close to that point at this point. We'll come back and we'll check off a bunch of names on here, but like 31 is the Bludgeon Brothers. That's way too high, I think.
But you know what? Great tag team. They'll never get their due, sadly, now, but great tag team.
We got Bulldog and Owen at 30. We got Morrison and The Miz. Then we got The Bar, Team Hell No, Volkov and Iron Sheik, Los Guerreros, APA.
So Los Guerreros breaks the list in half. Like, they are the halfway mark. How do you feel about that? Were you watching when Los Guerreros did their thing?
No. So there's a disconnect for me on that.
All right.
We got the Blackjacks. We got the Shield. We got Michaels and Triple H. Interesting that they had Michaels and Triple H separate instead of just DX, because later on they have a different thing. But
well, yeah, because they called them DX, but later on they'll have the Outlaws.
But they also have the Undisputed Era at number 20, and that's 4. So it's definitely, they include stables.
Well, because Shawn and Hunter never cross tag teamed with Road Dogg and Billy belts.
Yeah, at least not for belts. Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas, Toru Tanaka and Mr. Fuji, the Steiner Brothers, Rock and Sock Connection, Wild Samoans. We're at 14 with the Rockers. We got the Mega Powers at 13. I don't know if I can go that high. The Valiant Brothers, Demolition, the British Bulldogs, Brothers of Destruction.
Hold on. The top 10, 10-9. So let's go through the 10 a little more in depth. So Bulldogs, I like them. Brothers of Destruction, way too high.
Yeah, I think that's too high for that. I think it's too high for British Bulldogs even. I'd rank, because there's, again, another disconnect for me, like in different eras. But I'd rank some other teams over the British Bulldogs. Number 8 is the New Age Outlaws, which I do think deserve to be in the top 10.
I think I'd allow it.
Number 7 is the Usos.
I'd have to allow it at this point.
Yeah, at this point, yeah. I mean, we'll talk about another thing with the Usos.
11 years.
Number 6 is the Legion of Doom. Okay.
So here's where I think this is totally fine. And I think maybe even we should swap their positioning with Demolition's. It's a WWE list. Demolition was the WWE tag team. LOD is higher on the list because
they're the Road Warriors.
They're the Road Warriors. Because if we wanted this to just be a tag team list, Rock and Roll Express would be on here, Midnight Express would be on here. That's not what we're going for here, so I think Demolition should be higher. That's my one nitpick.
I'd put Demolition over British Bulldogs.
I'd put Demolition over a few teams in the top 10. Actually, I'd put them over Legion of Doom, or not to get into the TLC 3. I'd put them over them.
So
I think they should be in the top 3.
Dudley Boys are number 5.
I think Dudley Boys would be number 3, 2, or 1 for me.
Edge and Christian is number 4.
Top 10 for sure, but number 4, I don't know.
Number 3 is the Hart Foundation.
Hart Foundation's great. I don't know how you're ranking this list. I don't know what, and it's the hard thing because it's a worked list anyway. But it's like, who's ranking? What are we qualifying them on? Hart Foundation's in top 10, but not number 3.
I wouldn't go number 3. Yeah, Hardy Boys is number 2, which I think it makes sense if not 3 or 4.
Dudley Boys or Demolition should be number 2.
And the number 1 is the New Day.
I absolutely think this is appropriate.
I think so too. If I made my top 50 list of personal preferences, it wouldn't look anything close to this, but the New Day probably would be number 1. And there were some other ones that would be high up as well, like the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, Dudley Boys, Usos, New Age Outlaws, Legion of Doom, out of my personal favorite tag teams. But I'd also have some tag teams that aren't even anywhere close to the top 10 on here. Like Morrison and The Miz are easily one of my favorite tag teams of all time. Bulldog and Owen are number 30, right underneath them. And I'd personally rank them in my top 10 most likely. But I understand why they're not in the top 10. But looking back on this and kind of comparing about some different things, I don't think, for instance, that I don't know, again, there's a difference when it comes to different eras and stuff. So of course you have to factor that in. But I wouldn't put the Bludgeon Brothers at 31 and have, say, D.I.Y. lower than them.
I wouldn't put the Bludgeon Brothers, that high. But I also if this is my list, I'm not putting Jack and Jerry on there because I'm gonna stick to the parameters of it's a WWE list. If we get into the top, tag teams, this whole thing changes because you gotta add Harlem Heat, you gotta add the Outsiders, you gotta add Public Enemy, you gotta add. Hold on, where are the Nasty Boys?
Are they not even? Oh, they're 41.
That's weird. I immediately think they should be higher. I think the Bushwhackers should be higher, quite frankly. The fact that the Nasty Boys are lower than the Natural Disasters is just weird to me.
I think the Mega Powers being at 13 is too high.
It's too high. It's it's Savage and Hogan. How can they not be at least in the top 20?
And it's that was more of an angle than it was a true tag team in the sense that, think about it this way. Mega Powers are 13. At 24 is APA.
I don't know.
APA should be higher. They're lower than the Blackjacks. And, I wouldn't maybe personally put Shawn Michaels and Triple H too much higher than where they are, but I think the Undisputed Era deserves to be a little bit higher than 20.
It all depends on how we're ranking, what is a WWE tag team kind of thing. The Bar, I think, is too high.
You know what's funny? I was just gonna say what's interesting is the Bar. I was literally gonna pick out the Bar next because the Bar,
too high.
It's weird to look on a tag team list and to go, oh, out of the best tag teams of all time, I remember when this started. Not that influences how they ended up being, because as a tag team, the Bar ended up doing a hell of a lot more than it seemed like they were going to. But I remember that Best of 7 series, and then it was just oh, they're going to be a tag team. And I'm all right, whatever. They're going to be a tag team for a couple of months, and then it's just going to go back into whatever. And they end up being a tag team for what, 2 years or something?
Yeah, it was quite a while.
It took him a long time to become the Bar, but like, and Team Hell No, it's like that starts and you're just sort of like, oh, this is kind of going to be funny for a couple weeks. And Team Hell No ends up being this major thing. I don't know if I'd quite go number 27.
Hold
but
on. Kane is on this list 3 times.
With Brothers of Destruction. Oh, and the X-Pac one too, yeah.
Why is Kane on this list 3 times? That kind of baffles me a little bit. Like, that seems unnecessary.
I don't know what we would do if we did a top 50 the way that we've done the top rope list, because the top rope list, of course, we try not to make a top 50 because that would take forever, but like, I know it wouldn't be this list. Because, like, you're not going to hear arguments from me about, like, I don't know, say, like,
Tanaka and Mr. Fuji.
I was going to say, like, Batista and Ric Flair to me.
That's weird, too.
I wasn't watching it then, so I don't know if I would think differently if I was, but I just kind of can't imagine that they would be in my top 50.
Like, I don't know. I like Los Guerreros. I don't know if I'd say 25. I think it's weird that Demolition. I'm really perturbed by the Demolition thing. I think the fact that you don't have teams like now. Normally, I wouldn't make a stink about the Body Donnas, but like the Natural Disasters are here.
I don't know why Smoking Guns is at 47, and I also don't know why out of the top 50 you don't have the Godwins.
Which I would laugh at you for that, but if you have the Guns, it seems relatively reasonable that you would have the Godwins or the Body Donnas.
Body Donnas I wouldn't put on there, but the Godwins, yeah, I'd probably put them.
What's the difference?
One of them won the tag titles.
They both won the tag titles.
Body Donnas won them?
Yeah. They won them from the Godwin. They did the entire year of 96. They just go back and forth between those 3 teams.
I didn't even remember that they won it.
I think they won it at WrestleMania, so good job, pal. The same one that's in the outro of this very podcast every single week for 501 weeks.
Let me see this. Let me look up WrestleMania 12 here, because I don't remember that they won that. Body Donnas defeated the Godwins. Okay. It was for the vacant WWF Tag Team Championship. Wow. All right. Well, here you go. Here's the solution for it. Godwin's at least 49 and Body Donnas 50.
I'd allow it, though. Because I think to a certain extent you have to get into certain groupings. Like, I would group Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, the Hardy Boys all close together. And they kind of did. I group the British Bulldogs and the Hart Foundation together. I group, because they're so synonymous with one another that they should be there.
Surprised there's no 2 dudes with attitudes.
I am and I'm not. Like, it's weird.
I wouldn't put them on the list. I'm just saying or so that I'm surprised that it's not actually on there.
When you get to the Batista and Ric Flair are on there.
Yeah. It's so weird to say there's no Breezango on here, and they were part of hosting this show and got released while it still hadn't fully aired, and they're not even on the list.
Or like...
Not that I would say that they had to be, because Breezango only won the NXT Tag Team titles, and they lost it pretty quickly afterward, but it's like, they were a fun team. Like, I don't know. I'd make a case for them to be somewhere hovering that 50 kind of spot.
You know what's weird, and you're going to laugh? But like... You've got teams like the Quebecers, and you've got Caden Murdoch.
Yeah, I'm going to laugh about that. I did not like Caden Murdoch.
But, like, why are the fucking Quebecers here? Why are Kane and X-Pac here?
What was the name of the... I can only think of... Which I know is not the right thing. I can only think of the Headbangers, which isn't close to that. What was the name of the team? The Highlanders. I knew it started with an H.
Roy and Robbie.
Yeah, was not a fan of that at all.
There's also the dicks, the heartthrobs, the
Deuce and Domino.
they can stay off the list as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I would not put Deuce and Domino on this list. It would be fun to try to do a top 50 of like anything in particular, and we probably
You could
will.
sign me up for that. That's my shit. I love stuff like this. I love just digging back in history. And even if the debates are stupid, like, hey, why aren't the body Donnas here? I like the discussion of, hey, why aren't the body Donnas here?
You know what might be something that would be kind of fun to do? I don't know if people would be into this or not. And we've never tried to record something like this before. It might be fun to try to do something like a top 50 list or even a top 100 list of something where we don't have to sort it out in one recording. And it ends up being like, all right, like kind of what we do with the top rope list. We end up going like, we're going to suggest all these names that we can think of, and we're going to sort them out, and we're going to figure out maybe there's some kind of like Google poll or something that we can do that can kind of like do some of the math for us, and then get kind of like a debate going where we sort out the top list going all the way down, and it becomes like a series.
I'm obsessed with tournaments because I love the New Day stuff, and I would love to just sit here and be like, all right, let's really break down, in our opinion, love you guys, but like not like Champsgiving, like let's our opinion, let's talk about the top 50 WWE champions or the top 50 just whatever. I think that'd be great because we all bring such a different perspective to things. I would really be into that.
Maybe there's, that, I don't know if there's this thing where you can actually do it, and I don't know what it would be called or whatever, but I know I came across it before where there was like an automated, like it wasn't like a poll, it was more of like a this or that type of a thing. And when you voted on which one, it actually gave you each possible combination. So that way when it ended, like let's just say like if it went through like what's your favorite of the top 150 first Pokemon, like it would go like Bulbasaur or Ivysaur, and you'd go like Bulbasaur, and then it would go Bulbasaur or Venusaur. You'd go Venusaur, and then you'd go, all right, well Venusaur and Charmander, and it would go through the whole thing, and then eventually it would be like you'd have Bulbasaur number 001 all the way through up against every single one of the 150, and each one of the 150 against one of the 150. So when it would mathematically be done, it would sort out for you, this is what your ranking order is. Maybe there's a thing that we can do that for, and we can make like a series out of something like that, because I'd love to see what our like blind, oh wow, crap, we all decided on this, because if we made it the three of us and we made like, okay, we have to actually vote 2-1 or 3-0. All right, we're gonna pick head shrinkers over, I don't know, Wild Samoans or whatever it might be.
Hey, look, I like the head shrinkers. Good guys. Those guys. I like Rikishi. Good like good old Sam. But I don't know if I'd put them over.
Sammy.
I don't know if I'd put them over the Wild Samoans. And I think, quite frankly, I don't think Sam in particular would want to be put over his dad. But like it really depends. For me, like my top 10 would be something like Hearts, Rockers, New Day, in no particular order. New Day, Demolition, Dudley's Hardys, Road Warriors. Like it's close to this, but it's enough. Like there are enough things missing that I have a problem with this.
Yeah, I would definitely do some different things, but of course we already spent like a half an hour talking about this, so we're not gonna do that too much. But if you do want us to do more in this space of, tag teams and different things along those lines, let us know, because that idea that we're just talking about, maybe that's something. I don't know. Something to think about at the very least. We did do the Mount Rushmore of tag teams in the past. So we have our primary list for that. And the top 4 or the Mount Rushmore, technically speaking, of that is not the 4 that are in the 4 of this. So that shows you something different. We also have our top rope list of the NXT tag teams of all time. And there are
Oh, the
1,
Revival's not on
2,
this list. How
3,
dare
4,
they?
5,
I know
6, 7.
So, like, I know why, but why? Like, the Revival's not on this list. That's wrong.
Yeah, there are 7 NXT tag teams that we have on our NXT list that aren't on this at all. So,
Because that's
check those out.
ridiculous. Like, honestly, Revival were the only team thus far to win everything. So I think it's pretty stupid that the Revival aren't at least at number 49.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, you know, and like, yeah.
So moving on here, let's talk about another topic. Let's talk about Jimmy Uso. He has another DUI situation going on. This is his 3rd, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Or is it his 4th?
I believe it's 3rd.
Somewhere around there. I know it's not a 2nd. He got off for one of them, and this one, of course, is just pretty much starting because it just happened the other day, but it doesn't seem like it's directly affecting his push right now. He was on SmackDown.
So this might be controversial. Like, I'm kind of the opinion that, like, yeah, but he needs help.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, if he can go to work, Demi Lovato was in a rehab facility, and Demi Lovato was still a judge on the X Factor. Like,
did they not have like a yogurt there or something? Because apparently that the whole world crumbles if, you know.
That was before Demi Lovato was doing the yogurt thing.
Yeah, I'm of a weird opinion when it comes to this. I think that obviously everybody should agree, like, he needs to seek some kind of rehab help for this kind of stuff, because you don't do this once without a problem, let alone multiple times. I don't know if WWE's kind of washing their hands of this, if they're just sort of like, what are we going to do? Or if, like, the hammer hasn't dropped yet. Or
Greg Dalton's nowhere near the situation.
You know, the last time I saw Greg Valentine was on that Hidden Treasures show. I'm like, yeah, that dude looks exactly the same as he did like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Credit to him. You know?
Fantastic.
So, it's not good by any means. There's nothing positive about this story. And if it does affect his push, it might not be for a little bit, because we don't know how this is all going to play out. There might be a situation where he might have to be like going to a rehab facility or something like that, and he's gone for 2 months or something, you know?
You never know.
I was thinking that they might write him off today, and then it might have been some scenario where like Edge, quote unquote, injures him, and that's their excuse, you know?
I thought Roman would beat him up, but they chose not to go that route.
Yeah, instead they had everybody hug.
Yeah, I guess they just skipped the line and said, fuck it. Let's just get to the part where everybody hugs.
Maybe, yeah.
And they did the thing with the Mysterios.
Yeah, which kind of sets up the idea that even though they could have potentially done something like Edge takes out Jimmy Uso or something like that.
Oh, yeah, but Mysterios are the tag champions.
Mysterios are the tag team champions, and the Usos want to win those titles, and they set up the idea that they're going to get another tag title shot. So it almost feels, oddly enough, like they might give the Usos the tag belts.
Yeah, he might end up on the back end with like a reward.
Yeah, which is kind of, I don't know. I mean, it kind of seems like they're sort of going, well, whatever when it comes to this.
Again, it is. I'm not saying they're going whatever. I don't want to make light of the situation, but I also just feel like, hey, they're up Schitt's Creek too. They've got to try to do what they've set out to do.
Well, we do know one thing that they've screwed up quite a bit is the SmackDown women's roster, but we're going to save that discussion for later on.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm winding you up. We're not going to get into that quite yet. because we're gonna save that for when we're talking about SmackDown.
Okay, fine.
So we're gonna, since these things kind of tie into TV talk, we're gonna get into kind of going back and talking about TV stuff and kind of running one by one here. We're gonna talk Monday Night Raw first things first. Then we're gonna get into some NXT stuff. We're gonna get into Road Rager and compare that to Great American Bash. We're gonna talk about SmackDown and not really anything for 205 Live or Main Event or whatever, but
Gonna talk about a man jumping ship because of a very shocking oversight.
we're going to do that for the AEW stuff. We're going to talk about how 205 Live is not 205 Live. No, not really going to get into that.
Baby. It's 405 Live. Let's talk about it right now. Odyssey Jones, 205 Live. What up?
Yeah, they got a guy who's 405 pounds on 205 Live, and it's pre-recorded. So it's literally 405 pre-recorded. Just get rid of the show, guys. Come on. We said it a million times. But on Monday Night Raw, we had a lot of the same sort of stuff that we've had before. Nothing really too crazy going on. Like, we had another whole started off with a promo, set up another match, do this kind of thing, blah, blah, blah. We eventually got a thing where Jinder Mahal stole Drew McIntyre's sword. I'm of two opinions about this, and I don't know which one it's true. It's got to be one of the two, I'm assuming. Actually, there might be a third option, because the third option is always potentially, there's no fucking reason for this. They're just doing it for the sake of it, and that's the end of it. Stop trying to think logically, Tony, because that applies to almost everything. But
yeah,
if there's a logic behind it, there's two reasons why I think that this could potentially be happening. Number one, Drew McIntyre doesn't have a championship, and they want them to feud over something. And this is very much that Bruce Pritchard mentality of, he stole the guy's jacket. Why wouldn't they feud over the jacket? You know what I mean?
It's his family heirloom.
Right. Or we know that that's Vince McMahon's sword. What if he doesn't want them to go on tour with that sword?
I'm all right with it. Melt it down.
It'd be so good if they do something like that. For anybody who doesn't know, that's the Urn story where it got melted down and Kama Mustafa had turned it into chains and like.
And if you don't know, why don't you know? It's melt it down. Come on, that's what the world wants to see.
Melt down the sword, and Jinder Mahal's changed it over to
It's a bike chain. He's a biker now. Come on.
Well, yeah, because he's got the motorcycle. Is that motorcycle the toy thing that you had sent me a thing of? Is that like the new toy?
If it's not the new toy, it's definitely a toy, because I sent it to you and it looks exactly like the toy.
Because they did that with Braun Strowman and that wrecking ambulance thing.
Ambulance, yeah.
Where they literally had like, hey, can Braun just rip apart an ambulance here, and then we can go a week later, buy the new slamming, wrecking, fuck you ambulance, or whatever it was called. I don't think it was called the fuck you ambulance, but that'd be, instead of the alarm going wee wee, it's going F you. But the game plan for that might be, Drew McIntyre messes up the motorcycle, and then it becomes like, buy the Drew McIntyre messes up the motorcycle pack. You know?
You never know. I'd be kind of okay with it.
Like, he steals the sword, so he steals his bike. It's not exactly the feud I was imagining when we were talking about this potentially being a WWE Championship feud. The title was in Drew McIntyre.
I could be just wrong here, but I'm also of the opinion that, like, do people really want to see this feud without the belt?
I don't really think so.
Yeah. It's like,
I guess we'll know when we got fans and they can boo or cheer or whatever, but...
That's right. That's going to hit them hard, man. What if they just crap on everything? You know, like, that's a possibility now.
It is, and I think if that happens, WWE is just going to be like, all right, well, they're crapping on everything. We don't care. We're just going to do whatever.
Isn't it great that they're making noise?
Yeah. As long as you guys aren't making no noise, it doesn't matter if you boo or you cheer. That's the phrase that we told ourselves to feel better about ourselves. It's the same as when you see people on Facebook that post like those little motivational things, and it's like, here's proof that I don't need a man or something, and then you're like, all right, you really you're really harping on that. And you're also posting, like, why can't anybody love me? Kind of thing, like, you know?
Hey, don't.
Or the,
I'm
you
right here,
know,
Tony. God, you're not gonna call me out like that.
oh, everybody make sure that you get Robin Man.
Ah.
But yeah, when people do the whole thing where they're like, I don't need anybody's approval. I don't care what anybody thinks. And you're like, you care enough to tell everybody that you don't care what they think. That's, can't have it both ways. Let's go back to that phrase.
There it is.
Got to get it at least 2 times out during the day. Might as well just check off the list of say what you mean what you say. Good things are good. Yeah.
These sayings are true.
Yeah. Those sayings go along with the same as just like I'm frustrated. But there's not much else to talk about from Monday Night Raw. This really wasn't the most, like, I don't know, noteworthy episode. Like, Charlotte Flair is like, hey, I'm going to talk about my injury that doesn't exist. And Rhea Ripley's like, yeah, that injury doesn't exist. And Flair's like, you got me. Yeah. Jackson Riker and R-Truth beat Elias and Cedric because R-Truth's like, fuck off. And Elias is like, I'll fuck off. And Riker's just like, I guess I'll pin Cedric. Like, not much going on here.
I don't usually get miffed about these things, but it does bother me that Riker's getting a push.
We'll see how the crowd reacts to that.
I'm sorry, but when your words directly resulted in Blake and Cutler being taken off of TV and subsequently released, like, that's not fair.
It is so weird to think he was the one that got them to not be on TV, and he's the one that's there, and he's getting a push, and they were fired. Now, they clearly thought that he was, like, the act, because he was the one that was, like, not the leader, but, like, he was the main guy, you know?
Right.
So it's not too shocking to be like, oh, of course, they kept the guy that they thought that there was actually more potential behind, but it is kind of weird to be like, hey, you're the one that screwed up, and I don't know. It's weird. A lot of times with WWE, it seems like that ends up being the case. Or somebody will be like, this guy got in a fight backstage, and he started it, but since he won the fight, he's there, and the other guy got fired or something, you know what I mean? Like, seems to happen.
It is weird. I don't know. I don't like that. I want them to retire the 24/7 title. I want things to start making sense again, man. Make it make sense.
I want them to start making dollars again, not just cents.
They're making dollars. That's the issue. They're making a lot of dollars, and it still doesn't make any sense.
Oh, then I should put it this way. I want them to earn the money that they're making.
Fair point.
Insert joke about Top Dollar. Can't think of one.
Who hotter than Top Dollar?
Not Nada, apparently.
Not Nada.
So if your name's like Bill Nada, you really suck, don't you? You're not hotter than Top Dollar. Yeah.
What'd you think of the... Let's get into NXT. What'd you think of the Cypher?
You know, that was interesting. I thought that was a really cool way of doing something that we've seen a million times and just doing it a little bit different. If anybody didn't see it, it was Hit Row had what they called a championship cipher instead of what they always do, which is you go out there, you cut a promo, you say it's a championship celebration. If at most you end up having like balloons fall and like that kind of thing. No, instead they decided to make that just all of them wrapped. And it was just like, you know, maybe this doesn't speak to you necessarily if you're not like a rap fan or, you know, that's not your type of scene or whatever it might be, but it was different and you shouldn't play to an audience of one to begin with. So I'm like, all right, cool. That's their characters. They did their own thing. I liked it.
Loved it. I think that everything that they're doing is great. It feels relevant to a real part of society, you know?
I also think it's going to get them over. Like, they're going to be baby faces. You know what I mean?
That's fine. So we're Undisputed Era. Undisputed Era was over.
True. Yeah. Undisputed Era were baby faces since pretty much the very beginning before they even had a fourth member. And they were heels still, you know, so might be the case. Other things that were great. So Great American Bash lives up to its name, great. and it was filmed on American soil, and they bashed each other. So there you go. But MSK retaining over Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. Really fun match.
Surprised by the result.
I wasn't. I figured that MSK would retain. Hence why I wasn't surprised. But
you think you're better than me?
In some ways. In some ways, definitely not.
Oh, golly.
I think I'm better than Bill, what was it, Bill Nada?
Yeah. Don't Bill Nada.
That's going to become a running thing now, isn't it, too? Bill Nada is going to be like Barry the Elephant.
What up, Barry?
Yeah. Oh, man. Karrion Kross and Johnny Gargano cut some promo. They had a face-to-face, and William Regal announced that there's going to be a special guest referee for their NXT Tag Team Championship match. I was pulling an Andre the Giant right there. The NXT Tag Team title.
Yeah, I'm going to win the World Tag Team Championship.
Samoa Joe is going to be the special guest referee, which makes me go, ooh, is this title changing? Flip-flopping back and forth. Currently at this particular moment at 12:58 a.m. on the 10th of July, I don't think Kross is losing this championship. But there's a good chance Samoa Joe does something that screws over Kross. Fast count, or it's, some kind of like he gets provoked, as they keep saying, and does something to Kross, and that ends up being the case.
Does he get provoked after the match and leading to Joe versus Kross in August?
I hope that's the case, because that not only is a match that I think would be kind of fun, but I hope that means that Joe can wrestle.
Me too.
That would be my ideal scenario, because then Joe beating Kross is like, all right, Kross loses, but he loses to Samoa Joe. And I don't think that...
Joe's wrestling.
Yeah, more importantly, Joe's wrestling again, and then that means that he's healthy. But I do think Kross is coming up, and they've had this whole thing in the past where they've had people that it seemed like, okay, Ember Moon is definitely going to beat Asuka, and she didn't. And Street Profits are definitely going to beat the Viking Raiders, and they didn't. So, despite the fact that Gargano seems like he could very well be the next champion, and Joe could potentially screw Kross or inadvertently do something that screws Kross or whatever it might be, I kind of don't think that Gargano's winning it.
I hope that they don't do a vacating thing, because the NXT Championship was way too uncertain for too long last year. So I hope that they're not just like, well, here's Kross, we're going to do a vacating thing because he can't lose. But we'll see.
I really think that that's probably more so what they'll do, because they've protected him. Everybody that they've protected in the past like that, they've tried to make sure that they don't lose. So maybe, I guess we'll find out on Tuesday. Or is it next Tuesday?
It's Tuesday.
Thought it was that. LA
what
Knight.
do you think about... Oh, yeah.
Oh, go ahead. What are you moving?
I forgot about that match. I was going to ask you about it. Colin O'Reilly.
All right, we'll talk about that later. LA Knight beat Cameron Grimes in that $1 million championship match, which means that Grimes is now going to be LA Knight's butler. And he had a great tweet about it, too, where he said, "To the broom, but not tonight because I called out sick."
I like it. I hope they don't water it down, but I like it still for now.
It hasn't even really started, and I already like it. I think it's the right choice. We got new women's tag team champions, and we're going to touch back on this later. But Io Shirai and Zoe Stark beat The Way, Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. With
Candice LeRae, am I right?
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that. And they did it in part because we figured out who the recharging battery was about. A returning Tegan Knox.
Yeah.
Which is like, man, I hope this girl does not get injured again. That was so... when that happened the first time, it's like, oh, man, that sucks. When it happens the second time, and it happens the third time, you're just like, oh, come on, give this girl a break,
Well, you see, Tegan Knox gets injured, but Knox doesn't.
She's from a school of hard knocks, maybe. But this
We're
is
gonna
something
give
we're
them
going to have to talk
content.
about later as well. We're going to put a pin in it a little bit, but just in the sense of the way loses the tag team titles, I did not think that was going to happen.
Not a chance.
I thought Io Shirai would be coming up to the main roster. I thought Zoe Stark and Io Shirai didn't make sense as a tag team that could be the champions. And at this point, we've had 4 different tag team champions for this, and the belts are like, what, 2.5 months old or something?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Stupid.
I'm not a fan of that. I am a fan of Dexter Lumis coming out and just, doing the whole renewing the index thing, because I'm curious where this actually will lead.
I'm not a fan of them doing that during a commercial.
Yeah, it's true. They could have done that actually on the show.
Wrestling promotions need to stop doing this shit during commercials.
They also need to stop doing all the recaps, and it's one of many, many things that needs to happen. I'd make a list, but they probably wouldn't read it.
Well, we read their list.
It's true. Yeah, we read your list, read ours. We had Adam Cole defeating Kyle O'Reilly. Great match. First things first.
What a surprise.
Yeah, not at all surprised about that one. It's like, oh man, the first bite of pizza was really good. Yeah. This was Papa John's. But the
Papa John's
yeah, it really does. Sorry, Shaq. It's not good. Cole winning the match, though, I was a little bit shocked about. I thought that maybe O'Reilly would win and it would be kind of a send-off for Cole. I thought maybe if O'Reilly would win, it would set him up for a match against Cross. But I guess maybe the bigger priority here is you give Cole a win back and you could do the rubber match between them.
Yeah. I'm thinking they enter that Ambrose Asylum cage.
Are they calling it just Asylum? Because they're not calling it Ambrose Asylum, of course.
What did they call it on that wheel? Was it Weapons Wild?
Oh, is that what it was? That's right. It was some kind of weird name.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
But then again, that wheel was all like, this one's like a, I don't know, frights and lights match. And it's like, what does that mean? It's no DQ. And you're like, fuck you. They do like 3 matches and they were all no DQ. It was just like,
yeah, street fight, no holds barred.
Yeah, that kind of nonsense. If you're gonna do a no holds barred match, at least have something with Dookie in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check out the no holds barred fan tracks, everybody.
Such a shitty movie.
When I had explained that to Caroline that we had watched that, she was like, I gotta watch this movie. I'm like, yes, you do. You have to watch this at some point. So whenever she and I watch that, I'm going to report and be like, this is what Caroline thought about this god-awful movie.
Yeah. God, so good.
We also got news of who is going to be competing in the NXT Breakout Tournament. Now, that was something that we knew was going to happen. We didn't know the full names. Now we do. They are, as they announced them, not in like alphabetical order or whatever, Trey Baxter, who we've seen most of these guys before. I think that every single one of them has competed at this point. But Trey Baxter, Carmelo Hayes, Andre Chase, Josh Briggs, Ike Manjiro, Joe Gacy, Odyssey Jones, and Duke Hudson. And you might be thinking, who are these people? Because you might not have seen 205 Live, or you might not have seen the one episode of NXT that Trey Baxter was on or something. But you might even more so be thinking, the fuck's Duke Hudson? You've definitely seen him if you've been watching the past couple of years, because he's had 2 other names. He has gone by Brendan Vink, and for a short time, he was Tony Modra. And it turns out that that's like some soccer player or something. And it's like, yeah, you kind of can't like just be somebody else, like some other athlete. Like imagine somebody being like, hey, my NXT name's going to be, I don't know, like Ken Griffey Jr. or something like. Might not work out all that well. So Duke Hudson is his new name. He is one of the biggest guys. He, Odyssey Jones, and Josh Briggs are the 3 big guys of the bunch. Then there's kind of Joe Gacy, kind of that mid-range. And then we got cruiserweights, essentially, with like Andre Chase, and Trey Baxter, Kimijiro, and Carmelo Hayes. Hayes had a really good match with Kushida recently.
I like Hayes. I like Baxter's good, but Baxter feels like he's good in a way that's like Gargano before he found the personality. You know, like he's a great wrestler, but can he carry the brand?
Yeah, I don't know too much about a lot of these guys yet, but Baxter didn't impress me to the point where I'm going like, hitch the wagon to this guy, you know, like some people do, you know, from the very start. Like I remember when Cedric Alexander and Kota Ibushi had their match at the Cruiserweight Classic, I was like, you got to hire these two. Like that match was fantastic. And then they did the please sign Cedric thing, and I'm just like, oh, please sign him. And I've been a fan of him ever since. But like Baxter, I'd put a thumbs down on him winning this. I don't think that he should win. Carmelo Hayes. No.
Yeah.
Yes or no for Baxter? I think kind of assumed that it was a no.
Baxter's a lifer, but Baxter's not winning this. If he does, now granted, I didn't expect ACH to win the last one.
Yeah, that's something that's important to keep in mind. I didn't think, because I didn't know anything about him or some of the other people either. I thought that he pretty much had no chance to win. I don't remember who exactly was in it. Was that when I was
like Bronson Reed? I know it was Bronson Reed, Cameron Grimes, Dexter Lumis, ACH. I know that was like that class of people, but can't remember who I had predicted to win it.
Trying to find the list of this that was in there before, because those people were for sure. Let's see, NXT Breakout Tournament. Lumis, Reed, Grimes, Jordan Miles, Boa, Joaquin Wilde, Isaiah Swerve Scott, and Angel Garza.
I think I predicted Swerve.
I think I was going with Garza, if I remember correctly at the time.
I think I was... Good names, though.
Yeah, most of them have been accomplishing quite a bit. Some of them didn't get as much of a start. Like Boa is only now kind of starting to go somewhere. But like Scott's the North American champion. Bronson Reed was the champion that he beat for that. Cameron Grimes, he's been doing some great stuff. He didn't win any titles or anything, but he's been doing some great stuff. Joaquin Wilde doing some great stuff in Legado del Fantasma. Jordan Miles, not the same.
Jordan Miles is retired now, I believe.
I think he said something about that recently, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that's the whole t-shirt thing that ruined that whole thing. But I'd say no on Baxter for winning this. You'd say no too?
Yeah, I'd say no.
I'd say there's a chance that Carmelo Hayes wins.
He's in my top 3.
He's maybe my number 2. If not, he's my number 3. Of course, we don't know what, like, it is. If it is the same as what it was before, it was you could get a championship match of your choosing. So it's not that, like...
it's not that you get a world title shot?
It might be. It might not be. But I kind of remember the last one being like it could be any championship. So it might not necessarily be. It probably would be, because why wouldn't they? But they could potentially challenge for the North American title, if that was the case, you know? Right. Say somebody like Andre Chase wins and he wants to challenge Scott. Like, that could happen. Or the Cruiserweight Championship or something. I don't think that Andre Chase is going to win. I haven't seen too much of him yet. Can't really get a good feel.
See, it depends on what they need. You know, maybe they need like a really sound technical North American champion, then it's all Andre Chase.
If you had to go thumbs up or thumbs down, where are you going with Chase?
I'd go thumbs down.
I was going more thumbs up on Josh Briggs until 205 Live. Because I figured he was the guaranteed favorite to win. Now I'm like, he kind of doesn't seem as impressive as when he was in Involve.
He looks less alive. Like he looks like
less alive.
Well, like that's not. He looks.
He's like 40%, like
a superstar. He looks kind of bland. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like not that like long hair is gonna make or break you, but
well, because he had, I don't know if he was injured or something, but he had like the tape on his shoulder, and he had like this badass presence. to him. Now he just sort of looked like a guy.
He looks like he went from a guy that was like on his way up to a recruit that is trying to learn how to be a wrestler. You know what I mean?
That's just weird to me, though.
Like, looking at another picture, I just typed it in to like double check what he looked like when he was in Evolve. I was like, oh, this guy could potentially go up to the WWE and he's going to end up having like this kind of decent career at the very least or something. And yeah, now he's just a guy. Now he looks more just like, yeah, he's Josh. You know, kind of.
Yeah,
So
like
I'm
literally.
not digging the short hair. Maybe things will turn around. I don't know. Maybe it's just like the first time I'm looking at a difference and going, that doesn't seem like that's the same guy. But he still would be probably towards my top picks. I'd go thumbs up on him.
He's in my top 3.
Yeah.
Odyssey Jones.
Odyssey Jones is another one that's in that top. I think that there's a very good chance that he could win that.
I like it. I like
He's
him a
got
lot.
some personality to him. He's wearing some funky ring gear. He is big, so they could have him go up against Karrion Kross and lose, or they could have him be the guy that beats Isaiah Swerve Scott if they wanted to do that.
More importantly, they could have him go up against Babatunde.
Not quite as big, but you know, few are.
He's not Colby Carino, is what we're saying.
Yeah. I would say definitely not for Ikemenjiro. That's not like a slight against him. I just don't think he's going to win. Like, there's just almost no chance.
Style.
I think that's funny too. He's handsome
That's
style.
Amazing. That's
I love that he wears the coat all the time. Stands out, you know? He's fun.
Yeah, thumbs down.
Joe Gacy, thumbs down from what I've seen so far. I don't think he's winning.
I haven't seen anything that impresses me.
Yeah. Now, Duke Hudson, though. If anybody's going to be a real shocker, I think he could potentially be the winner.
I get Wade Bear vibes from him.
They kept him. That's the thing. Like, he was not doing anything. And then they eventually put him in a tag team machine, Thorn. And he was a part of that Monday Night Raw stuff where it was like they were wrestling week after week for a while.
They were going to be like the original Hurt Business almost.
Yeah, kind of, if you think about it. Yeah. And then it ended up being like he just kind of disappeared. And over the course of all of these releases, they kept him. So they definitely see something in him. And he is big. So there's a chance that that Duke Hudson could pull this out. Maybe that's the guy that they're thinking is like the dark horse, sort of.
Right now, I like Briggs because we've seen what he can do. I like Jones because he looks different. And I like Carmelo because he seems to be sought after.
You think if Carmelo Hayes goes up to the main roster, they're just going to make him Carmelo? Or do you think that that's too much when it comes to Carmella and he's just going to be Hayes?
Well, yeah, I think he'd have to be Hayes.
Yeah. Hate when they do that shit.
Ridiculous.
So that was Great American Bash. I thought that it was a great show. Not the absolute best of the year, but I thought it was a great episode of TV.
For sure, thumbs up.
In comparison, because it's not the same Wednesday Night War anymore, but you still have your comparisons, to AEW Dynamite, which was Road Rager, which is not a name that I'm a huge fan of, but whatever.
It grew on me.
We had the South Beach strap match. Cody Rhodes beat QT Marshall. The most interesting thing about this for me was my nephew was watching it with me at the time. And that was part of his education of, are these guys really hitting each other? This isn't real, right? And I'm like,
so how old is he?
So he's old enough that he knows that it's like scripted and everything like that, but he still is questioning whether or not they actually still did hit each other. He's been super into the Rocky franchise lately. So he's like, like in Rocky, they don't have to actually hit each other and all that. And I'm like, yeah, they actually do hit each other most of the time here. Like,
yeah, like it's a weird thing to say because it is fake.
It's fake, but it's not fake. It's fake, but it's
like,
it's real fake,
each other.
But not real fake. Like, it's kind of weird to be like, no, these two guys are friends, but they're fighting each other because the story says they're fighting each other. They actually don't dislike each other, but they are actually still hitting each other. It's like, wait, what? But they're not hitting each other all that hard. They just happen to, like that guy just smacked the other guy with that strap and actually smacked that guy with the strap, and he's actually going to have a big welt tomorrow, kind of thing. Like, that was fun, kind of breaking that down. And I enjoyed from what I had seen in the match. Of course, I wasn't paying 100% attention to it, but it seemed like a good enough match from what I had seen.
Yeah, I'm glad it's over. I didn't like the feud.
I thought you meant the match itself. Just like, I'm glad it's over.
I thought the match was great. I like the Sammy Vega strap matches. You gotta touch all four corners. I like that. I like the.
That's my favorite form of the strap match thing, for sure. I don't like when it's a strap match, but you can just pin them and everything.
Yeah, Colorado and Dustin did that. And I don't know. That wasn't for me.
We had a Tony Schiavone promo. We had the whole thing setting up more of Dark Order wanting Hangman Adam Page to get into the title hunt. I think.
Are you into this?
I'm not, because I don't want them to do it yet.
They're gonna set it up for All In. I mean, All Out.
I hope it's All Out. But we've got, I don't know, 2 months. I think they're kind of rushing.
Maybe they just want to tell the best story they can. I give them credit. At least you know where they're going. Look, predictable ain't bad. Predictable inherently is not bad.
Predictable is bad in the sense of if you value shock more than anything else, then you've lost all your value. But I'm one of those people that's like, look, if that's the simplest way to do it and it's the best way to do it, even if it's predictable, go with it, because unpredictable and bad is significantly worse than predictable and good. Because ultimately, predictable and good is still good. Unpredictable and bad is bad. I
can tell you that this medium rare filet mignon is gonna be good. But if you tell me, oh, I'm gonna get you some food that you'll really like, and then I don't, good things are good. I'd rather know what I'm getting and know it's gonna be good and have it be good than, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen here, and then it sucks.
I guess another analogy, since we had watched Forrest Gump recently, I like the Whitman sampler better, where they tell you what all the chocolate is. I don't like the whole oh man, what's this? Pop it in your mouth and it's one positive, you're like, oh cool, it's like coconut cream. This is great. Tasty as hell. Amazing. And then another time you pop one in your mouth and you're like, oh, it's some kind of weird raspberry thing. Like if I bit in a donut, turns out it's a jelly donut. Ugh.
Yeah, I'm not big on jelly donuts. Homer Simpson was very misleading there.
Jelly donuts, very misleading when it comes to Pokemon as well. Brock's super into them. And Brock, hate to tell you this, bud, those are rice balls.
More like America, I'd hate to tell you this, bud.
He does have a frying pan that he turns into a drying pan, though, so he gets some extra points. But, man, I want some donuts now. This one particular donut. Here's a little bit of snack talk for this edition. There's this donut place around me that has these donuts that I've posted on Instagram before even. So I very rarely ever post on Instagram, but that's one from a couple years ago where I was just like, these fucking donuts. They've got these chocolate covered, peanut butter whipped filled donuts that are so fucking good. And they're probably 700 calories a piece or something.
You know what, Tony? I think you don't need to be worried about counting calories. You need to be worried about counting smiles. I need to eat more of those.
I really should just eat more. Just die happy,
But so I'm your friend. I just want you to live your best life.
If by the next episode of the Hot Tags I'm going, all right, guys, it's a great episode, then you know that I'm munching on one of those. I should be so lucky. But somehow we got into donuts. I don't know how. I'm probably not going to have them by next week, but next week it seems like we're going to have a coffin match between Ethan Page and Darby Allin that we were supposed to get this week, but they decided to bump it off
because they realized they needed more for the next week stuff.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of them WWE types of deals where it's like, oh crap, we didn't plan that out, you know?
They planned out too many good things, like, which is completely different from WWE, where they just didn't plan it out. They planned out too much good shit that they needed to go back and go, okay, can we actually just do it at Fyter Fest instead?
Speaking of like planning things out, sidebar, do you see that stat that somebody had made? I forget who, so I'm sorry I can't give you credit for it, but it's out there. Whoever did, I didn't make it find this stat, somebody else did. That AEW only has had 10% rematches compared to on Raw and SmackDown. It's I think 57 and 56 or 53%.
Well, as somebody who watches every week, I'm fully aware because they rarely run it back.
Because they just decide, hey, wouldn't it be interesting if people fought new people and you didn't keep doing the same thing 100 times? And it's like, yeah, it's surprising how the interesting things are interesting and good things are good. You know, it's weird how it works like that. You know, so
it certainly is.
You get me a donut, and I like donuts, and it's got chocolate on it. I like chocolate. You put it with peanut butter on the inside, and I like peanut butter. And then I go, oh fuck, this is good. So yeah, you know, doing something different, and keeping it from being boring. So I'm excited for that coffin match. I am hoping that it's exactly what I'm picturing or better, which is like, you know, Darby Allin gets thrown around all over the place because that's fun as hell to watch. I completely good.
I think it'll be one of the more fun matches. I think they're going to redefine what a casket match is and how it can be used in that company because we're not dealing with the Undertaker here.
Yeah, this is their first casket match in AEW, even though they're calling it a coffin match. I guess they're going to call it a coffin match going forward.
Which I'm fine with because the casket match is too similar to the Undertaker.
So I did not watch FTR and Wardlow against Santana Ortiz and Jake Hager, or as you would call him, Santa.
Well, you see, Santa...
Rob had a typo. He fixed it.
Santa is proud and he is powerful. So, as it turns out, that actually works out for them. But no, I thought this was fine. The FTR wrestled. LAX did LAX things. Wardlow's still big. Hager's still big. They were really blushing over Hager, where they're like, oh, what a man's man he is. It's like, he's been on TV for over 10 years. Why are we doing this with Hager? I thought that was a little weird.
Were they like humming the William Regal theme or something?
They might as well have been.
He's a man. You know what? I should have made, if I would have made a better joke on there, if I'd have thought about it ahead of time, I would have said, oh, they humming the William Regal theme. But it would have been a complete side thing than what you would have been imagining. But yeah, they did the stuff from what I saw. I really kind of didn't see much of it. So
let's get to the part that we did all see.
Actually, before we do that, I do have another joke to follow up with that's slightly better. When LAX was LAX, did they call their fans the laxatives?
All right, good night, everybody.
Jon Moxley is going to defend the WGP United States Championship against Carl Anderson next week.
Match was supposed to happen at Wrestle Kingdom. And then the pandemic happened.
Now it's happening on Fyter Fest.
I like it.
Chris Jericho and MJF had their standoff face-to-face thing, which included not just them, but also a fan.
So this guy apparently gets on Twitter today, and he's like, I did it for Jim Cornette, and I did it for the real wrestling fans, because playtime is over. And I'm like,
should have done it for The Rock.
I mean, really, like, what are you talking about? Oh, playtime is over. And he did it at a weird time, too, because, like, if that's your thing, let's assume that that's not a parody cut or anything. If that's really your thing, you're gonna tell me that you didn't jump in the ring during the Orange Cassidy match?
Right? Yeah. Why this one?
You tell me there's a former WrestleMania main eventer, and now is the time to show them that they're fake. Like what?
I
Very
don't
weird.
understand the philosophy behind anybody that runs into the ring for anything like this. I think it's just nuts.
I liked when those two they're in the UK and those two kids like snuck a rock bottom in.
I don't remember that at all. When did that happen?
It's a couple of years ago, maybe 17 or 18. But these kids got in the ring and did like a full blown like rock bottom and all that.
That's okay. That's kind of fun. But just running into there with the MJF thing or whatever, I thought it was great that Jericho twisted it around and he was like, I should have let that fat ass kick your ass or something, whatever he said.
Just like he said, I should let that fat ass kick your ass. He also stopped and said, Y2J died a long time ago. I guess because they tried to get that chant going. And then he insinuated that he slept with MJF's mom. It was very weird. I'm not into this era of Jericho.
I do think that the one twist with the mom joke that was good was how he's like, oh, I'll fight a bunch of piranhas. I'll do this or whatever. I'll even have sex with your mom. And that's like, oh, and then he goes, again. And that made me pop. Because it's like, all right, you had a fun transition to get to that point, and then you snuck in an extra joke. I'm like, all right, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, for me, modern day Jericho is cringe, but I'm glad he's still out there doing it, you know?
Well, you know what I think's strange about Jericho these days that I don't know if anybody's really acknowledging because it's not changing. When he comes out and they want to drag out the Judas song for as long as they do, which I think is one of the best entrances, he still doesn't know what to do. So he literally just smiles for like 2 minutes.
Well, I think that's just one of those things where he doesn't know what to do. He's in a weird phase where I think he wants to say that he knows what to do, but sometimes he just seems like he doesn't.
Well, that was one of the highlights of that was this dude popping in the ring and causing a scene for no fucking reason.
Well, he's it for the real wrestling fans.
Ridiculous. We had that. We had Britt Baker promo. This is the one where she had thrown out the Saudi Arabia line.
Yep.
Like, why? You know?
People popped for it. I laughed. As I understand it, I saw this one on Twitter, so I don't claim to know this is fact, but apparently the Khans also deal with the Saudi Arabian, so what are you gonna do? You might have dunked on yourself.
It's that whole, like, let's just dunk on WWE because it's going to get a pop. You know what I mean?
I'm fine with it. They haven't gotten to TNA levels yet.
I think it's kind of like, you don't need it. You don't need to take the low-hanging fruit with that. You don't need to try to put yourself over by being like, look at that. We're not doing the same thing as the other company is. We're the rebels, that sort of thing. The more you acknowledge it, the more that it just doesn't seem as cool. So I kind of hope that they don't do that.
Yeah, I guess I'd agree. But keep it to a minimum and it was fine. Like, Britt got a ton of laughs and a ton of, oh my god, I can't believe she went there, but just don't make a habit out of it.
We had, I'm going to skip the one thing for a little bit. Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander beat the Blade and the Bunny. Not really much going on there.
Statlander had fun. Yeah, I believe she got the win.
Good finish.
Yeah.
This Dan Lambert guy cutting a promo, getting taken out by Lance Archer. It's kind of fun. I don't know who the hell he is, but
it's Dan Lambert of American Top Team.
Sure.
There you go.
It's Guy from Thing. All right. We had a great street fight between the Young Bucks and Eddie Kingston and Penta.
Yeah, I thought it was a little too quick for my taste, but still very fun.
And the most interesting and important thing that happened on this
and
was
laughable in some ways.
we got an Arn Anderson promo, which I was pretty much going, all right, I don't think I'm really going to have to pay too much attention to this. And the lights go out again, which they had gone out earlier in the show. When they come back on, the Undertaker's there. No, just kidding. It's Aleister Black, who they quickly say, hey, that's Tommy End. But he's not Tommy End anymore. He is, as they're referring to him now, Malakai Black.
Malakai Black.
Malakai Black. So we can still keep doing that. He hits Black Mass. And we're setting up this thing with Cody.
So this is super cool. Because this feels like one of those Monday Night War. Like, oh wow, they jump shit. That's so crazy. I like this move a lot. Malakai Black was he was Tommy End, right?
Yep.
And then he puts out a social media video like, actually my name's Malakai Blacks. So in the video it's credited as BLACKS. Then AEW on TNT's Twitter account calls him Malakai Black, and they spell Malakai MALACHI. And then at the same time, the other Twitter account posts the proper spelling, and I'm like, I don't. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
But aside from that fun little note about my job, really fun debut, really great segment. Can't wait to see what he accomplishes.
Yeah, apparently it's MALAKI KAI. That's how they're spelling it. So if you're following all the Malakai Black stuff, that's where we've landed. Malakai Black is in AEW a couple days after Zelina Vega rejoins WWE's roster.
35 days. All it took was 35 days.
And apparently the reason why was because they just didn't change his NXT contract and didn't put him on the 90-day no compete clause, which is...
But here's why this is believable. How did he get to the main roster, Tony?
What do you mean?
They called him up panicking.
Oh, that's right. He was part of the panic thing. Yeah, because it was he, Ricochet, Lars Sullivan, Nikki Cross, EC3. Was it Nikki Cross or was it somebody else?
Lacey Evans.
So it wasn't Nikki Cross then, I don't think. Or was it? I don't remember now.
Blanking
on Nikki. It might have been, might not have been. Lacey Evans was, I think, a part of that, yeah. And they were thinking about Gargano and Ciampa, and then they kept Gargano and Ciampa because Ciampa had gotten injured. But, like, it's just still so weird to think that, like, that many people work on that many different sections of WWE, and yet nobody knows that they're sending trash bags for people that get fired, and nobody checked the contract, and nobody pays attention to who is on your roster when you run out of people. Like, you know, it's kind of, come on, guys, what are you doing?
Exactly. I told you, it's a $1 billion industry, $1 billion company, and then you open it up and it's just little children playing with Tinker Toys.
And it's not like there's 5 people doing everything where it's like, oh, you know, they can't keep track of everything. They got hundreds of employees.
Right.
If not 1,000 employees at this point. I don't know what. Well, at this point they don't, but like, you figure between the people that run all the audio and run all the video, and you got the talent and the referees and the backstage people, and you got the writers, and you've got talent coordinators, and you've got the people who drive the trucks, and you got the, you know, like, we didn't even know Sue Aitchison until a while ago. She's been there forever. Like,
that's right. And she was like a total sweetheart.
And the guy, the Hall of Fame for this year, blanking on his name. Oh,
jeez.
Yeah, I'm completely blanking on his name.
Oh my god, it's
not Bill Nada.
Not Bill Nada. It's Kevin. Kevin something?
I don't think it was Kevin something. I don't remember for sure, but
is it Rich something?
Might be Rich, maybe. But that, you know, there's like tons and tons of employees like that. You'd think that there would be somebody that's paying attention to the contracts. And that's their job, is they just do the contracts. I know that if I were like, the guy who does the one thing in there or something, I'd make sure I got that thing done.
Rich Herring.
Rich Herring, okay. I was going to say Rich Hudson, and I'm like, that's not right. It's an age thing. But, yeah, like, that is baffling to me. How do you not know that you didn't change the guy's contract thing around?
Because they're panicked.
Maybe they just write him up a new contract, just change this part of the phrase, and that's it.
And here's the thing. Ding.
Ding.
At the time, they were the only game in town.
Okay, so you think it was just like, oh, it's not like it's really going to matter?
Yeah, so they let the oversight slide, thinking, he'll be here forever.
If anybody understands why he did that laugh, and why it's just another Simpsons reference. It took me off out of my brain. Yeah, it's just weird, and I'm very, very happy that he is in AEW at this point, because there are so many matches that are going to be fun for him to get into. The Cody Rhodes thing is already going to be interesting.
Absolutely.
Him against Kenny Omega, of course. You got, like, Darby Allin. It's going to be fun. I want to see him against Lance Archer. I already have a thing pitched about where it's like, hey, make it like everybody dies, but I'm above death, and like that whole kind of thing, He's got that darkish kind of character and everything.
It'll be so good.
Solid match against Jon Moxley is coming, I'm sure. I'm really curious to see what he and Andrade do, because they've had great chemistry in the past, and now the gloves are off.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's like this begrudging respect. If they can get Murphy over there, because here's the thing. He's still got the fucking eye. He kept the eye. So in canon, forever, he's just missing an eye.
Or at least it hasn't fully healed yet.
It's been a year.
Well, everybody knows it takes a year and 2 months.
Well, it didn't take Jake that long.
Or is Rey Mysterio still doing that? Does he still have a thing on his eye?
No, my God. So. Dude, they put the eye back in his head like 4 days later.
Well, he was wearing that mask that had the eye cover. But I don't remember if that was the case when we saw him tonight.
No, of course not. He hasn't worn that in a while.
I know he didn't when it came to like the LWO photo shoot, for instance, but that's, it's not really the same sort of thing. But yeah, Malakai Black in AEW.
Every time. Malakai Black.
Every time, yeah. So if you had to compare Road Rager and Great American Bash, which one did you like better?
Road Rager was so cool to see in front of people. It's so cool to see them back in front of people.
That ultimately gets the win?
That ultimately gets the win because AEW, I forgot, like it looks different than WWE. It feels different than WWE. I'm excited to see SmackDown next week in front of people because I kind of forgotten what it looks like.
I would pick that I liked Great American Bash better, but that's not a slight against Road Rager. I thought the Road Rager was a fun show. I didn't see every little element of it, but what I did see, that was fun. They had some great moments and everything. NXT is the show that I tend to like the most. So I give that a little bit of a boost. And if you want to give a little bit of a boost to fanboysanonymous.com, you can do so by hitting the like button, the share button, the subscribe button. Checking out everything that we have going on over there. We are doing that Review to a Kill James Bond series, but we got some other things that have been taken care of recently. We got some things in the pipeline as well. I don't know when you're listening to this, but we're most likely going to have a Black Widow review by the time that you'll listen to this, if you listen to it past like Saturday afternoon or so. And we're going to have another fan announce table coming up soon. That was sponsored through the Patreon. So again, if you want to make sure that we do something in particular, the Pick Your Poison tier, take advantage of it. But follow and like and share or do all those kind of things that are over there. Another thing that I just want to plug really quickly is the Heat of the Moment tournament that is on the qualifying round right now. And what we're trying to figure out is what is the best heel act that is in AEW and in WWE right now. So we talked about it on the last episode, the mailbag, kind of ran through some of the options for the qualifying round, and now you've got a chance to vote for that. And the voting for that is going to determine the bracket. So right now we are at 35 responses, and I'm not too shocked about how some of the people have gotten some of the higher votes. Like, to no surprise, I'm not going to spoil a whole lot of things, but to no surprise, somebody like a Kenny Omega and like a Bobby Lashley doing well, most likely going to make the tournament. Some other people that I thought were going to maybe be doing a little bit better, not quite as much. So curious how the top 16 are going to kind of lay out, but very curious why somebody added Kevin Owens to the heel list. Is there's the option for other? And I
give it time.
Don't know. And I don't know why somebody added Sasha Banks and Pretty Deadly again. So I guess they wanted to vote for Pretty Deadly twice. I don't know. I guess that's the thing.
Would you not vote for Pretty Deadly twice?
Somebody else had voted Cody.
Yeah, that's funny.
Not a heel, but okay. And somebody else put Kyle Bayer.
Well, what the hell, Kyle?
Who's Kyle Bayer?
Probably somebody who's like, picking up this guy's girl, and he's like, "Hey, you're a heel. You're the biggest heel of my life right now."
Is Kyle Bayer hotter than Top Dollar?
Well, definitely not Delmata.
So if you want to vote for Kyle Bayer, I guess, I don't know who the hell he is, but maybe he's the biggest jerk on the planet or something right now. Just, like those I hate Steven Singer things. I had no idea what that was for the longest time, and I thought it was literally like some like jealous ex or something. I never bothered to actually click on like IHateStevenSinger.com or anything because I really didn't care too much, but I was just kind of like, wow, you got to be certain level of petty to have like take a billboard out, especially in like 2000 or whatever the hell this started. But yeah, vote on the Heat of the Moment tournament. We will give you some breakdowns here and there. We're not going to go week by week and do some kind of big tournament types of things, but it's going to be up there week by week. And at the end of it, we'll go give our recap and talk about, hey, we're shocked that this person beat that person, and the usual shake that we do here when it comes to that. But with the Heat of the Moment tournament, we're talking about who's hot right now. And if you want to be hot right now and not just in the summer heat, then you should take advantage of all the products that are over on manscaped.com. And while you're over there, use the promo code SMARK. You will get 20% off your order and free shipping on all the different products that they've got going on there. So you're doing some yard work during the summer months and you're thinking about getting a new lawnmower. Well, maybe you want to get a lawnmower for down below, and you can trim everything that's going on with your balls with the Lawnmower 4.0, which has advanced skin safe technology to make sure that you're not just cutting up anything else. You're not have to worry about, whether or not you're going to get into a dicey situation with a sensitive part of your body that you really don't want to have that kind of issue with. I mean, a zipper is bad enough if you ever done that. Imagine what happens if you get some kind of a bad razor down below. You're not going to get that when it comes to the Lawnmower 4.0, which I can attest to. Gets a thumbs up. And there's also, for instance, the Weed Whacker for your nose hair. It's another great gardening tool that you can apply to your face instead. Sounds ridiculous, but it works. It's not just, some gimmicky thing. These actually have great products, and you can apply that in all the different ways that you want to, whether it's something that's more of taking care of the trimming side of things, or if you want to just use the ball toner or the ball deodorant, or...
What I think Tony is trying to say is that when you are in the heat of the moment, you want to make sure you're already ready to go. And Manscaped is the only company you need to ensure that, because whether it's your balls or your nails or anything you need, even if it's ball wipes, they got the crop mop. Even if it's ball wipes, whatever you need to succeed in the heat of the moment, Manscaped is your go-to.
And maybe you don't just want something for the moment. Maybe you want something to just keep happening. And that's why they've got subscription plans as well. So if you try out some of the products and you really, really like them and you want to get more, they do have the ability for you to continually renew these subscriptions and continually get more packages with, replacement razor blades.
So
and
listen, there's no greater subscription service than Peacock. So take care of it.
I've had some discussions with Peacock recently. We'll get into that in a different thing. But thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring this. And thank you to anybody who picked something up from Manscaped using that promo code SMARK. It'll help us out. It'll help you out too. And your balls will thank you as well. Really quickly, let's talk about that Peacock thing. I spent so much time yesterday on Thursday trying to explain to them that there's this issue that's still going on with NXT UK. Drop a comment below if you cannot watch NXT UK at 3 o'clock on Thursday like you should. Let me know. It's literally not going to be just a matter of my curiosity. We're at a point now where I'm doing the research for them to let them know that this is not just a me issue. And we've had multiple back and forths on Twitter and in DMs on Twitter and everything, where I had to explain to them the difference between NXT UK and NXT, and the difference between NXT UK and like being aired live and 205 Live being the way that is. I basically had to explain how their thing was going on. So I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. I'm trying to fix it.
I'm floored that you had the patience for this shit.
Because it's annoyed me so much. And like I said to them, I'm like, look, I'm not trying to be a jerk about this, so don't take it as like just some guy complaining. I'm trying to help you fix a problem. And I know that it's a problem that's affecting everybody. So I will be the guy who goes back and forth with Peacock to fix this. And if we end up getting it fixed, you can thank me. So I'm just saying, because we've gotten to the point now where they understand that this is part of the issue. And if this is the next thing that we're going to test out, I can't test it out until next week, but I'm going to test it out and I'm going to report back to them and we're going to kind of go back and forth again. If anybody else wants to test this out, so I have more evidence and more, numbers to bring to them, their current thought process is that if you log on to their app at like 2:59 or at 3 o'clock, it might not have loaded correctly and your cache might have been looping itself essentially. So if you are running into the 3:10 issue that I'm getting, where you have to wait 10 minutes because every time you refresh it over and over and over again, it ends up not giving you the program until 3:10, it might be that, but I still think that it's not necessarily the case. So I'm going to test that out next week. If anybody else wants to test that out, and let me know what your report is of if you're able to watch it at 3:01, if you've never clicked on it before 3:01, or if you're doing the same thing where you're waiting 10 minutes like I am. I want to know. And if I have those comments, I can screenshot out that and I can send them to them and be like, hey, look, see, there's more other people that are having that issue. I know it's not just me. I know it doesn't work at 3 o'clock for you either.
The good thing is whenever it does full episodes out, then I just hope that they never...
Yeah, that's true. That makes that a lot easier. But I had to go through the whole thing explaining, like, it's not that it airs 10 minutes late. It's that it airs 10 minutes late and that's the whole episode, but you have to wait 10 minutes to do it. And we did that whole back and forth. So
I think it's amazing that you have the resolve for this stuff.
It's because it's not that hard.
There it is.
And it's because I think everybody needs to have this philosophy in life. If there's a problem, try to fix it. Because it's called a problem for a reason. It's a problem. Nobody wants to have problems, whether it's big or small. Barry.
Well, not every one of us has Tyson Tomko on speed dial, first of all. And secondly,
that reference is way over my head.
Yeah, Christian's Bodyguard in 05. I guess you weren't watching it. Sorry.
What does that have to do with? Is that like a problem kind of thing or something? He's going to fix problems or something?
He was the problem solver. That was his thing.
Okay. Yeah. Completely over my head.
Colin would have liked that one. Yeah, so not only that, but Bill Nada's got problems.
And if he fixed them, not a problem.
Well, then he might not be. Then he might be hotter than Top Dollar. But instead, he's Bill Nada.
So let's talk about the main topics here. Bayley has suffered a torn ACL, and she will miss Money in the Bank. She is not going to have her Intercontinental Championship match. Wow. Her I Quit match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And when this gets announced, we're doing the normal speculation here. We're going, well, what are they going to do? They said they're going to announce a replacement. How are they going to figure that out? We're all chatting it up. I think that they should have Sasha Banks return. That would just be the easiest. I think that they should go with Sonya Deville. That would be kind of fun. Maybe they do this. Maybe they do that. WWE's answer? Fuck it, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
And instead, Carmella was taken out of the Money in the Bank match. And Carmella is just having a match for the sake of it on SmackDown.
Now, to be clear, until you say on SmackDown, that's totally fine. Take Carmella out. Go Carmella's the most decorated, 2-time Money in the Bank, former SmackDown Women's Champion, WrestleMania Battle Royal winner. Fine. If you want to be that lazy about it, I can even forgive you there. But then you go, oh no, because since she can't fight Bayley, fuck it. But like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like, why are you not putting this match on the pay-per-view? And
now, if they replace that on the pay-per-view with another match that's more interesting, then I think that's not the right call, because none of this is the right call, because at the end of the day, the right call would have been you had a backup plan and you had more people on the roster and you could have been able to do something better. But you reap what you sow. That's even a report that some people have said backstage apparently today was, hey, you did it to yourself. You got rid of a bunch of people. You didn't put a whole lot of people on SmackDown. You didn't learn your lesson from the last 10 times you did this on the draft. You're probably going to make the same mistake again in a couple weeks. But I would be utterly shocked if the draft goes by and they don't end up having another issue with this, because they do it every fucking year. They always go, let's move a whole bunch of people to Raw. And then on Raw, we have all these people that don't have time. And then on SmackDown, we need more people. And they go, oh my God, your answer to that is to just stop doing that. Like, it's, every time I punch this wall, my fingers hurt. And it's like, well, stop punching the wall. And they go, I just can't, But like, that would have been a better scenario. And it is disappointing, I'm sure, for people that obviously they wanted to see Bianca Belair against Bayley. I agree with some of the other opinions as well, that match was not selling the pay-per-view, because we've already seen that match like 4 times. And it's Money in the Bank, so it's Money in the Bank match that's going to be selling the pay-per-view, and Roman Reigns versus Edge. But at the same time, it's just like, it's disappointing that you just said, fuck it, Carmella has a match on TV. Because now, you know what? Carmella's not winning that match. And nobody really cares. And that's not a slight against Carmella or Bianca Belair. They're both great. But it's just, there's no heat to it. There's nothing for that matters.
Yeah. And then you got to assume she'll win. Sasha will come back. And it'll be like, it's on. Girl. Like,
yeah.
But it'll be the same thing, but in reverse.
Right. And that's, whether or not they have that factored in the Money in the Bank is another story too, because we started this episode of Raw with 2 missing spots. And we ended it with 2 missing spots. SmackDown instead of Raw, yeah. We know who's in the men's Money in the Bank match now, because Shinsuke Nakamura qualified over Baron Corbin, and Seth Rollins qualified over Cesaro, which I think is a mistake. Because I think Cesaro would have been not only better in the match, but I also think that he would have been somebody that the fans would have gotten behind, and that would have been more interesting. But we'll talk about that more next week. But Liv Morgan takes Carmella's spot, and I would have assumed that she would have been in that match to begin with. And then there's just one less person because Carmella was supposed to be in there. So clearly, this was not the plan because Bayley was not supposed to get injured. But now I'm kind of assuming what they're going to do is they're going to put Natty and Tamina in there. Or they're going to set up a tag team match between Natty and Tamina against two of the new members of the roster. And the winning team is going to be in there in those final two spots. Or we're going to get Sonya Deville and Sasha Banks.
Okay, so I don't think we get Sonya and Sasha. I think we get one of the two. And right now I'm leaning a little more towards Sonya. But I do think that there's a possibility that we could just see them go, fuck it, put Tegan and Shotzi in there because they're new and they're fresh.
That's the other thing is they decided, I guess, maybe they had this plan to wait a little bit, or maybe they decided to do it today. But despite Tegan Nox making her return to NXT and the idea of Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart being in the mix for, being a tag team and everything, we get Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart popping up on TV here, beating Natalya and Tamina, who have been feuding with Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, but not having the match for some reason. I don't know why they didn't just do that match already, but maybe they're pushing it aside and just not doing it for some fucking reason. They win a non-title match because that's the best way to just, hey, they won, now they can have a title match or something down the line. It's the easiest, simplest way to do it. And they lost some of their names.
Because they are now Shotzi and Nox.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Nux, who was Mike Knox when he went to TNA. We've hit the 2 a.m. point where I'm going to say some pretty random stuff, but that is a thing. Nux was a thing.
I don't like that they're Nox and Shotzi. We said before, it's if you say it too fast, you end up almost saying Nazi. So it's like at some point somebody's going to be like, and shots and chocks and Noxy and Knots and Shotzi, whatever, like that kind of thing. But I just hate how they do this. I don't understand this philosophy. I don't know why they feel like they can't just be Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart. Because they own the trademarks already.
So never mind that. And I can get over the Nox and Shotzi. I got over Cesaro. I got over Cesaro's the one that comes to mind right now.
Biggie Langston, Apollo Crews, Rusev.
Right, yeah.
Elias.
I can't deal with the fact that NXT is a weekly program on the USA Network in prime time. Why are we acting like we don't know who these people are?
At least this time, they've flat out had them say, that's Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart from NXT. They've been making names for themselves. Instead of what they did with Piper Niven. Who is this person? Oh my God, I don't know who this woman is. And they ran a vignette too for Toni Storm is going to be joining the NXT or the SmackDown roster. After, of course, Toni Storm this week was like, let me cut a promo about how I need to fight Saray. So they lose names because why?
Tegan Nox just came back 72 hours ago.
She comes back to NXT and she's already moved up to SmackDown. Shotzi is just done and she's got a new tag team partner now. So that's, I guess, Ember Moon sticking around and she's just going to stay in NXT because she couldn't make it on the main roster. I guess that's kind of the philosophy.
She doesn't want to go, man.
Maybe not. Yeah.
But see, if that's not the case, then the case was to just call up Nox and Shotzi. then why? Why when Ember Moon's been on the main roster? She's been in the Money in the Bank ladder matches. It could have been an easy transition. I don't get it.
I think it's mostly just to do something different, just to get some new blood on there. And I don't necessarily mind that either. It's like, is there more of a win than a loss here? Yeah, for sure. Like, I'm a huge fan of Shotzi Blackheart. I think she's great. I actually wanted her to be the one that beats Raquel. Not going to happen now. I think that I've still not been able to see enough of Tegan Knox for me to go completely gaga over her, but what I've seen of her, I like. I think she seems like a total sweetheart, so I want her to succeed, just even for that alone. And I'm interested to see some new matches, like, at this point, just because it's different. Knox against Tamina, I'm like, cool, do it, you know, like, just for the sake of just doing something new every once in a while. And I don't dislike that they're coming in as a tag team either, because even though they aren't the tag team, we got another tag team and it's people that I like, so that's cool. And but it bugs me that it's like it took you till now to go, fuck, we need to bring somebody in there, and you just decide to bring them willy-nilly, and you specifically had to make it a point to be like, well, we can't call her Tegan Knox and we can't call her Shotzi Blackheart, she's gotta be just Shotzi. Who, like, is it Vince? Is that it? Like, does he just not like when somebody has a first and a last name? What is the big problem with that? And, like, it's so weird to also think this happens so often that it's weird that it doesn't happen more.
Yeah.
Because clearly this is an issue. Somebody, whether it's Kevin Dunn, whether it's Vince McMahon, somebody does not like double name kind of things. And they're specifically thinking like, hey, for marketing purposes, we should not have Alexander Rusev. He should just be Rusev. So they've got that worm in their brain telling them that, but then they don't do it for other people. Like, we've got Liv Morgan.
Well, why is she not Liv?
Why wouldn't she have just been Liv? Because, I mean, we've got Eve. Eve Torres was just Eve for a while. And we've got Paige and Naomi.
Paige, yeah.
Like, all those, like, one name, Carmella, Natalia. Right. She's not Tamina Snuka, she's Tamina. Now, that might be necessarily for a particular reason, but, like, Natalia Neidhart. You don't even want to call her Neidhart. You constantly call her the Heart. So it's like, it's weird that he's not just Roman. It's weird that he's not just Rollins. It's weird that Otis is just Otis instead of Otis Dozovic, but Chad Gable's not just Gable. Like, who's the one that's making those tweaks and deciding that those random ass tweaks need to be so fucking random? Because they had to have had literally a conversation today, probably, where they said, don't say Tegan or Blackheart.
And somebody said, yes, sir.
So it's like, but you got Baron Corbin, and he's not just Corbin, and I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm glad that they're on the roster. I'm glad that Toni Storm is coming up, because I really thought that she needed to. I thought there's nothing else for her to do. Still think that Io Shirai would have made sense. It's a different story.
Yeah.
And this isn't going to solve all the problems. This is just slapping some duct tape on a leaky boat.
I was a lot more passionate about this when it was fresher in my mind, because the egregiousness of the lack of logic to just be like, let's fuck all these storylines and just do this thing because SmackDown needs this fix. Just do it.
Granted, Blackheart wasn't doing anything that they pulled her away from that was like, you needed to finish that out kind of a thing.
What do you mean? She spent the entire Tuesday night tweeting, oh, we're going to get those titles back from Zoe and Io.
Yeah, but that was tweeting.
But it's more indicative of, like, they just don't know.
Like, that's not as bad as the Nox thing, because Nox just screwed over Candice LeRae and very clearly was going to have some kind of a match against Candice LeRae. And now she just won't, I guess. Or she will, and they'll do that thing where it's like, can you just play double duty for a couple weeks? And then just
like they
stop
did with
existing on NXT for a while.
Gargano and Ciampa when they were briefly on the main roster, where it was like they fought the Bar twice. And then they were like, all right, we're going to also be in the Dusty Cup.
And like the Street Profits were there for like 2 months, like popping up on Raw, just talking.
As the NXT Tag Team Champions, yeah.
Right. So maybe they'll do that. I don't know, but it would be kind of weird if at this point it was like, you know, hey, Candice versus Tegan, but we're not going to call her Tegan anymore. And that's going to be like a loser leaves NXT match, and one of them already lost and or already left. So I guess that Toni Storm and Sarray match is either not going to happen, or they're just going to rush that to next week and get it out of the way and be like, all right, let's just do it. And then you won't have to worry about it anymore. They did say coming soon. They didn't say next week or something that she would be there. So maybe they'll drag that out, but
it's almost Toni time.
She is great. She's going to make a big play for something. I would like to even potentially see her as the next champion if they end up wanting to go down that route.
I'd allow it. She's fantastic.
So it's good that they're bringing people up, but it's not good that it took something like Bayley getting injured for them to wake up a little bit, nor do I think that this is going to solve all the problems, nor do I think that they've even learned the proper lessons from it. And it also sucks just to go back and talk about it again. Bayley's out for like 9 fucking months. That sucks.
Yep. Heartbroken. Legitimately, like, messaged you, injuries don't hit me this hard. I don't usually care. Like, I am heartbroken. This poor woman carried this company throughout the pandemic, and I don't give a shit what anybody says. That's my take on it, and it is what it is. Bayley carried the shows. I say shows because she main evented Raw. When Becky Lynch went down, back up. Becky Lynch got pregnant, and they had no top woman. They said, "Hey Bayley, be on everything. Hey Sasha, be on everything." And Bayley got no WrestleMania. And I think that's a damn shame.
She didn't get a proper WrestleMania set up. And now, right before they go back to being in front of fans, she's down with an injury. And the one saving grace is that she should still be able to cut promos. So they might have her do some of her talk show stuff. But that's just not the same.
You think that she and The Miz, who literally had the same injury, are just going to like, yeah, I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to do ding dong hello?
I think so. Not every week, of course, because that's just a lot of travel. But I can't picture that she would want to stay out for too long, you know?
Right.
And like, you're finally going to have the crowd to be able to play off of. So I think she's going to want to come back and do some promo stuff. But still, that's 9 months plus, potentially.
I think it's a damn shame.
So she's out for another WrestleMania.
Yep.
I mean,
damn shame.
At this point, it's pretty much a guarantee that that's the case. It's not 100%, but like 9 months away from now, you're at least cutting into the time frame where they wouldn't be able to set up something properly. So if by some sort of like, you know, John Cena healing in rapid fire kind of succession sort of way comes down the pipeline for her, like it's still not going to be enough time for her to necessarily have another good WrestleMania. So that's like,
I did the math, and if it's literally 9 months, it's April 9th.
Yeah, so it's like it's extremely unlikely.
Is April 10th, then
well, I mean, it's not 9 months to the day. It's not like they're gonna go, and now you're able to.
And now she's James, but what?
If anybody doesn't get that, check out Ruby to a Kill. But like, I mean, there's a chance that she doesn't take 9 months to heal, but think about it. Even if she takes 7 months,
Royal Rumble,
then it's like probably not going to be time enough for her to come back and set up something decent. So she's probably out for Mania.
We'll see. I hope not.
Yeah, I really hope not. And now I don't know where they're going to factor in this extra person for Money in the Bank. I do still think it's going to be just like Natty and Tamina or Nox and Blackheart, or maybe it is Deville and Sonya, or Deville and Sonya, Deville and Banks. Maybe the plan was that Banks was going to be the final person, and since Carmella was supposed to be in the mix there, that was it. And now they just need to find one other person. If they do, I mean, I don't know, maybe they put Toni Storm in there.
It's Toni time. I wouldn't be against that, actually.
They can't do a last chance battle royal since there was no qualifying matches.
Correct.
But maybe they do something like, well, they can't even do that with like Natty and Tamina. They can't say like, oh, okay, well, Natty, Tamina, and Nox and Blackheart are in a match at Fatal 4-Way because they're tag teams. So you either do the both of them or you do neither. That's tough. I don't know. If I were in their shoes, I wouldn't be, because I would have had a backup pair of shoes. Actually, yeah, more than one pair of shoes, so it works. Yeah.
Yeah, you need a backup pair of shoes. That's what it comes down to. What it boils down to.
To use my phrase. Here's the thing. So those are the hot tags for this week, at least for right now. Maybe something happened in the last 5 minutes. If it did, I don't know. I didn't check it. But if anything does happen, we'll loop that into the next discussions that we have. Because next week, we will not only have another episode of the hot tags, but we'll also get into our Money in the Bank predictions. And we will start breaking down who we think is going to actually win these matches, who is going to step away with the briefcases, where this could potentially go in the future, and all the other things that we normally break down for that. There's going to be round 1 of the Heat of the Moment tournament, and some other recordings here and there that we will have popping up on either Fanboys or on Smark Out Moment. Maybe we do another Darkcast thing. Maybe we do some kind of fun extras if we just kind of on a whim decide to do it. You never really know. But if you're subscribed to the channel and you ring that notification bell, then you will know when we have those things up on the channel. And obviously, if you check smarkoutmoment.com, you'll see those posts as well as all the other content that's out there on the website. If you follow Fanboys and Smark Out Moment on the social media accounts, you'll get updates on those things as well. And you should follow our personal social media accounts on top of that, just for, regular chit chat and stuff. I'm at Tony Mango, and Rob's at Dude Felice.
I am at Dude Felice. I'm at Dude Felice on everything. I'm at Dude Felice on Twitter. I'm at Dude Felice on Instagram. I'm at Dude Felice on TikTok. I don't even go on TikTok, but on there, Twitch. I've been working on Twitch throughout the course of this podcast. I really want to just start Twitch, so we're getting to that point where it's like, crap or get off the pot, so stay tuned for all that.
So you gotta shit or get off the pot. Are you feeling it stirring? You gotta
and follow me everywhere. I will be doing the SmackDown post show with Jeremy Lambert next week on Fightful, doing the SmackDown post show with Pineapple Pete on the 23rd, which is wild to me. So we'll see how all that goes. Honestly, I was going to ask for a mango. I was going to ask for you. And then Sean was like, yeah, hey, you got Pineapple Pete. I said, okay.
As somebody who's in the fruit cocktail family, I sign off on Pineapple Pete.
Pineapple Pete's fantastic.
Pineapple's fantastic.
It is. So is mango.
Pineapple is my favorite fruit. And it's one of these words that I just spit out when I can't think of another word. I'll just be like, oh, it's pineapple. Whatever. It's kind of... Everybody's got their little quirks. So, follow all those things. Stay tuned for what's happening next, everybody. And have yourself a good day. or a good night, or good afternoon, whatever it might be. Have yourself a good one. We should say that, I guess. Be safe, and we will talk to you next time, everyone. But for now, this has been another Smark Out moment. And you hear that clock? We're being counted out.